What if I told you that for more than 40 years, spirits of the deceased have consistently communicated with Edgar Cayce, painting a detailed picture of their experiences right after death? What if these entities disclosed the specific journey of leaving the physical realm, the dimensions they traversed, and the beings they met beyond this life? Before we explore these remarkable recorded communications, be sure to subscribe to our channel and activate the notification bell, as what you're about to learn will alter your perspective on death and the afterlife. Also, please leave a comment below sharing any peculiar spiritual experiences you've encountered, because today's insights might finally shed light on what you went through. In the next 28 minutes, I will present 3 astonishing categories of spirit communications that emerged from Cayce's documented readings. To start, there are comprehensive narratives from souls recounting their shift from physical demise to a state of spiritual consciousness. Next, there are startling discoveries regarding the experiences these spirits underwent across different realms of existence beyond our tangible world. Finally, the significant insights they returned with regarding the essence of consciousness and what lies ahead for every human soul. However, what will truly amaze you is that these accounts were anything but abstract mystical portrayals. These accounts were meticulously documented by stenographers while Cayce was present, including exact reading numbers that can still be verified today at the Association for Research and Enlightenment in Virginia Beach. Take a moment to consider this. We are discussing more than 14,000 recorded readings, many featuring spirit communications observed by numerous individuals, transcribed verbatim and preserved for many years. Medical professionals, university educators, and skeptical investigators have examined these documents. Their findings pose a significant challenge to the conventional scientific understanding of consciousness and mortality. Here's something that will astonish you. A significant number of these spiritual communications included details that could only be validated many years or even decades afterward. Spirits recounted past historical events, offered medical knowledge that remained undiscovered until years later, and shared personal anecdotes from their lives on Earth, which were subsequently verified by relatives who had never interacted with Cayce before. To illustrate, let's examine one of the most well-documented instances found in Cayce's records. In reading 136-18, a recently deceased spirit conveyed through Cayce the precise moment of his passing. He described that at the time of his death, he felt a gentle lifting sensation, akin to being drawn upward from his physical body by unseen hands. But hold on, the details become remarkably intricate here. This entity mentioned observing a silver cord linking his spiritual body to his physical form, and he noticed how this cord slowly faded away. He stated that the entire experience was entirely painless, imbued with an immense feeling of tranquility and liberation. The spirit went on to share what transpired afterward, and this is where the communication turns exceptionally remarkable. He discovered himself in a space he referred to as a haven of gentle golden illumination, where ideas took form at once. When he envisioned a stunning garden, it would surround him in an instant. If he wished to be reunited with a departed loved one, they would instantly appear. This raises important questions about our understanding of the afterlife. Wouldn't you agree? However, stay tuned, as in just 3 minutes, I will disclose what another spirit shared regarding the luminous beings that assist souls who have recently transitioned, and how this insight has transformed the spiritual journeys of thousands. Now this is where it becomes truly astonishing. The same spirit recounted an encounter with what he referred to as his life review council, but not in the manner that religious doctrines often depict judgment. Rather, he discovered himself among entities of sheer love, who aided him in grasping the spiritual importance of every experience he had undergone. The Spirit clarified that these entities did not criticize or condemn his actions. Instead, they guided him to recognize how even his errors and shortcomings had played a role in the development of his soul and had offered valuable lessons for others. He expressed a deep sense of gratitude for experiences he had previously viewed as negative throughout his earthly existence. However, there's an even more remarkable aspect to this reflective process. The Spirit disclosed that he was able to experience the emotions of each individual he had impacted during his life. When he had acted kindly toward someone, he felt their joy and relief. Conversely, when he had inflicted harm, he sensed their pain, yet without the presence of guilt or retribution. Rather than merely being superficial, this emotional bond fostered a profound comprehension and empathy that completely altered his view on human connections. In the course of reading 254-8, a different communicating spirit offered further intricate insights into the spiritual dimensions. This entity clarified that consciousness continues to function on various planes post-death. In contrast to our tangible world, where we experience time and space in a linear fashion, the spiritual dimension enables what he referred to as omnipresent awareness. Here's a revelation from Cayce's reading that astonished even his stenographer. The Spirit spoke of his encounter with what he referred to as elder souls, entities that had grown through many lifetimes and now acted as mentors for those who had recently transitioned. According to his description, these guides manifested as radiant figures, conveying messages through thought rather than through verbal communication. The entity further elaborated on a concept that might challenge your understanding of personal identity. He revealed that in the spiritual dimension, he was able to not only access his memories from his most recent earthly existence, but also recall experiences from all his past lives. It was as though an expansive repository of experiences had suddenly opened up to his awareness. However, the most fascinating aspect of this exchange lies ahead. The Spirit clarified that this heightened awareness did not induce feelings of being overwhelmed or perplexed. On the contrary, it provided a deep comprehension of the significance and intent behind each lifetime he had lived. Earlier, I noted that I would share insights regarding what these spirits learned about the beings of light. In reference to 262.89, a spirit conveyed through Cayce its experience with what he termed the Council of Elders. These entities were not deities or religious figures, but instead, they were advanced souls that had finished their series of physical lives. The Spirit recounted being in the presence of these radiant beings in what he referred to as a hall of learning. However, this is where our perspective on spiritual judgment shifts dramatically. There was no punishment, no condemnation, and no external judgment present at all. Rather, the Spirit conveyed undergoing what he named a life review, during which he saw every action, thought, and decision from his recent life on Earth. What stood out about this review was not that it was forced upon him, but rather that it unfolded spontaneously as an inherent part of an elevated spiritual awareness. He was able to perceive not just his own deeds, but also their repercussions on every individual he had met throughout his life. You'll be amazed by what this spirit uncovered regarding the emotional significance of this review. He expressed an intense sense of compassion for his earthly existence, gaining insight into the spiritual teachings hidden within even his toughest moments. Each obstacle, every connection, and every instance of happiness or pain disclosed its greater spiritual intention. What's truly astonishing is that this spirit goes on to articulate a concept that significantly alters our perception of personal accountability. He shared that during this introspection, he was able to observe the ripple effects of every choice made across time. A seemingly simple act of kindness he had done many years ago had inspired someone else to assist another individual, who subsequently went on to contribute positively to their community, thereby initiating a continuous sequence of beneficial repercussions long after his passing. On the other hand, he was also aware of how instances of anger or selfishness triggered negative ripple effects. However, the surprising aspect is that even these detrimental actions ultimately played a role in the larger framework of spiritual growth, imparting valuable lessons to those involved and creating moments for development and forgiveness. This spirit shared another insight that will transform your perception of every encounter in your life now. He clarified that no meetings between individuals are coincidental. Each person you come across, every dialogue you engage in, and all conflicts or relationships carry a distinct significance in the spiritual growth of both individuals involved. While examining 341.22, yet another spirit offered elaborate explanations of what Cayce referred to as the healing planes. This being had experienced a long-term illness during his earthly existence and elaborated on the spiritual healing process that took place following his departure. The spirit conveyed that healing in the spiritual dimension occurs by aligning with divine love instead of relying on medical treatments. He illustrated being enveloped in what he referred to as healing light, which permeated every facet of his spiritual existence, erasing not just the recollection of physical suffering, but also the emotional and mental habits that had led to his condition. However, what will truly astonish you about this healing journey is that the spirit mentioned this process reached back through time, influencing not only his current life, but also addressing analogous patterns from former lifetimes. It was as though the spiritual realm functioned beyond the constraints of linear time, enabling what he described as multidimensional healing. This same essence brought forth an insight that could transform your perspective on the challenges you face in life today. He articulated that the hardships he endured throughout his life were not mere chance but intentional chances for spiritual development that his soul opted for prior to its incarnation. You might find this surprising. While exploring pages 416-18, a spirit conveyed through Cayce the experience of selecting one's next life. This being spoke of participating in what he referred to as planning sessions with his spiritual mentors, where they evaluated the lessons still necessary for the evolution of his soul. The essence conveyed that souls do not accidentally enter physical forms. Instead, they thoughtfully choose their life situations, such as their parents, place of birth, and even the unique obstacles they will encounter. This is not a matter of punishment. Rather, it serves the ongoing process of spiritual learning that can only be realized through bodily experiences. However, there is an even more remarkable aspect to this selection process. The essence elaborated on how souls frequently come together in groups, assuming various roles for one another across numerous lifetimes. For instance, someone who is your parent in this life might have been your child or partner in a past existence. This insight into soul groups offers a radically different perspective on the connections you experience in your life today. The deep relationships you share with certain individuals, along with those immediate attractions or conflicts that seem puzzling, suddenly become clear when considered from this spiritual viewpoint. Yet there's more that will profoundly alter your grasp of reality. In his account, 294-185, another spirit discussed what he referred to as the observation planes, where souls can watch events on Earth as they happen in real time. This being elaborated that he could see his family members in their everyday activities, follow global happenings as they unfolded, and even sense the emotional and spiritual conditions of people he had never encountered during his time on Earth. The Spirit explained that in the spiritual realm, souls frequently collaborate to create positive influences for those still on Earth. He mentioned being involved in what he termed consciousness networks, where groups of spirits unite their mental energy to inspire solutions for issues, offer solace in tough times, or assist individuals in making more favorable choices. What's even more remarkable is how this spirit elaborated on these influences. He noted that while spirits cannot interfere with human free will, they can enhance the positive thoughts and intentions already present in an individual's consciousness. When a person is in search of guidance or facing a tough decision, spirits can bolster the voice of their higher wisdom, making it simpler for them to identify the correct path. The same entity revealed an insightful truth about prayer that has the potential to change your spiritual journey. He indicated that when individuals pray for those who have passed away, such prayers actually generate energy that aids spirits in their ongoing development and service work within the spiritual realm. Prayer forms what he referred to as bridges of light, which facilitate a reciprocal communication and support between physical and spiritual planes. In session 538-32, another spirit shared intricate details about what he called the Akashic planes, where the comprehensive records of every soul's experiences across all lifetimes are preserved. This entity elaborated on accessing what he identified as the universal memory, which encompasses not only personal soul records, but also the complete history of the evolution of human consciousness. The Spirit conveyed that within the spiritual dimension, the Akashic information isn't cataloged in books or digital devices. Instead, it manifests as dynamic thought forms accessible through concentrated intention. He likened the experience to entering an immense ocean of consciousness, where every inquiry pertaining to existence can be answered through direct insight rather than analytical learning. Here's what this spirit disclosed about the Akashic records that could transform your understanding of knowledge and wisdom. He noted that all knowledge, past and future, is contained within these records, but tapping into it necessitates a specific level of spiritual growth and intention. Now brace yourself for revelations that could profoundly shift your view of human capabilities. The very essence described how souls in the spiritual realm are capable of not only tapping into the Akashic records of Earth, but also exploring the spiritual histories of various worlds and dimensions. It elaborated on civilizations that have progressed well beyond our current state of awareness, and how their insights are accessible to aid humanity's spiritual growth. The Spirit clarified that numerous significant inventions, artistic creations, and spiritual insights throughout human history have actually originated from these higher dimensional realms, transmitted through individuals who have honed their spiritual sensitivity to receive such knowledge. But here's what will truly astonish you about human consciousness. The Spirit disclosed that every individual on the planet today possesses the ability to connect with these same sources of wisdom and inspiration. What many individuals perceive as their personal consciousness is merely the outer layer of a deep ocean of universal awareness that links all souls throughout various dimensions of existence. This same entity conveyed another startling insight. He explained that the future possibilities for human civilization recorded in the Akashic planes are not predetermined fate, but rather probability patterns shaped by the collective choices of humanity's consciousness. I wish to share with you one of the most significant messages that emerged from Cayce's readings. In reading 256, a spirit who had been a skeptic in his earthly life expressed his astonishment at realizing that consciousness persists beyond physical death. This being acknowledged that throughout his life, He had entirely rejected the idea of existence after death. He identified as a materialist, convinced that consciousness was solely a byproduct of brain activity. The astonishment he experienced upon realizing he was fully conscious and capable of thought beyond his physical demise was so intense that it drove him to communicate through Cayce, wishing to convey this insight to others. The spirit recounted the moment he comprehended that his true essence, his fundamental identity and awareness, was entirely separate from his physical brain. He described it as similar to waking from a dream, but in this case, the dream represented his earthly existence, and awakening meant uncovering his authentic spiritual self. This is what a skeptical individual disclosed regarding the persistence of personality following death. He clarified that he maintained all his memories, his sense of humor, his likes, and his unique thought processes. However, these personal traits were now shaped by a broader spiritual viewpoint. In reference to 349-17, another spirit articulated what he referred to as the reunion planes, where souls reunite with cherished ones who have previously departed. This being had experienced the loss of his wife during his earthly life and recounted their joyful reconnection in the spiritual realm. However, you might be astonished by what these spiritual reunions reveal. The spirit shared that ties in the spiritual realm are founded on the connection of souls, rather than earthly or legal affiliations. He discovered that he was not only rejoined with his wife from his most recent life, but also with soul friends from earlier incarnations who had held various roles in his life. The spirit articulated that love in the spiritual dimension is much broader than love experienced on earth. Unlike the possessive or limiting aspects of many physical relationships, spiritual love includes understanding, acceptance, and the celebration of each soul's unique path towards divine awareness. The same being shared a profound insight regarding children who transition into the spirit world, which offers solace to those who've endured such a loss. He spoke of meeting children in the spiritual domain who manifested at their ideal spiritual age, unaffected by the time of their physical departure. These youthful spirits were accompanied by what he referred to as spiritual guides, who furthered their learning in love, wisdom, and cosmic awareness. Furthermore, there's a revelation that could completely change your perspective on your present relationships. According to a spirit in reading 281:16, every relationship you have in this life holds spiritual importance, including the challenging ones. This entity explained that difficult relationships frequently serve as chances for souls to address karmic imbalances from prior lives. The spirit indicated that disputes among individuals often originate from lingering issues from past existences. However, there is a liberating aspect to this insight. Such conflicts can be resolved through forgiveness and empathy in the present life, allowing both souls to break free from repeating similar patterns in subsequent incarnations. In reading 137:125, another spirit shared comprehensive details about what he referred to as the service planes, where advanced souls strive to help while still in bodily form. This entity spoke about engaging in what he referred to as healing missions, where collectives of spirits concentrate their shared consciousness to channel healing energy to individuals on Earth suffering from ailments or emotional turmoil. The spirit clarified that numerous unexplained healings, sudden bursts of inspiration, and instances of spiritual solace that individuals encounter on Earth actually stem from the help provided by these groups in the spiritual domain. Here's a revelation from this spirit regarding prayer that could transform your approach to spiritual practice. He pointed out that heartfelt prayers establish what he termed energy bridges between the physical and spiritual worlds, facilitating the flow of spiritual aid to to those in need. However, there's something even more remarkable about this spiritual service work. The Spirit explained that souls in the spiritual realm have the ability to positively impact global events through collective consciousness, encouraging leaders to make choices that benefit the greater good of humanity. Allow me to share one last remarkable communication that illustrates the deep love and wisdom found in the spiritual realm. In reference to 4048, a spirit who had been a father in his earthly life came through Cayce to offer solace and advice to his grieving family. This caring father spirit conveyed that he was watching over his loved ones, providing them with spiritual protection and guidance, even though they were unaware of his presence. He clarified that death had not diminished his love for his family. Rather, it had enhanced it, transcending the confines of physical existence. The Spirit disclosed his ability to perceive the emotional conditions and spiritual requirements of his family members. He collaborated with their guardian angels and spirit guides to offer support, ensuring respect for their free will choices. The most poignant aspect of this father's message is his assertion that love represents a singular force capable of transcending all realms of existence. The affection shared among souls during their physical lives continues to flourish and intensify in the spiritual domain, establishing everlasting connections that death or separation can never sever. This loving spirit also shared insights that promise to instill hope in those contemplating their own transitions. He depicted death as merely transitioning from one room to another, akin to exiting a small, dimly lit area and entering a vast, radiant garden brimming with light, love, and endless opportunities for joy and growth. As we wrap up this remarkable exploration of spirit communications found in Edgar Cayce's readings, it's important to recognize that these were not mere isolated events. Over a span of more than 4 decades, numerous spirits conveyed messages through Cayce, offering strikingly consistent depictions of the afterlife. These messages reveal the eternal nature of consciousness, the idea that love surpasses physical death, the spiritual significance of every experience in this life, and that what we refer to as death is, in fact, a graduation into heightened awareness and boundless opportunities for growth and service. The spirits communicating through Cayce all highlighted one essential message. Your current existence holds immeasurable value. Each decision you take, every gesture of kindness you show, and every instance of forgiveness you present, aids in the growth of your soul and the healing of our planet. If these insights have resonated with you and broadened your perspective, we encourage you to subscribe to our channel and activate the notification bell so you won't overlook our future videos delving into Edgar Cayce's remarkable spiritual teachings. Feel free to share this video with others who might gain from these significant understandings regarding the persistence of consciousness and the timeless essence of love. Remember, you are more than just a physical entity experiencing random events. You are a timeless spirit, embarking on a glorious voyage of development, enlightenment, and realization of your authentic divine essence. The entities that communicated through Edgar Cayce wish for you to understand that you are profoundly cherished, perpetually guided, and fated for a reunion with the boundless source of all life, which will surpass your most extravagant aspirations of happiness and comprehension.